Welcome to HMB Live. It is 11 a.m. on Tuesday, and that is when we always do our HMB Live. I am Jason. I'm going to show you my name right here, and sitting in the office next to me is Chris. Both of us are partners at Hard Money Bankers in Columbia, Maryland. So if this is your first time checking us out, watching this Facebook Live, it's the HMB Live. We do it 11 a.m. every Tuesday. We talk typically about real estate, but we bring in marketing and we bring in business topics. All stuff we love to talk about, all stuff that we love to share our experiences about. And I promise you, if you hang in there with us for the next few minutes, you're going to learn a lot. A few things just to take in consideration. We do typically have one topic that we bring up. Today we're going to be talking about online marketing campaigns for real estate. You can be a real estate investor, real estate agent, anything in appraiser or lender. It doesn't really matter. And even if you're not in the real estate industry and you that you have. Another thing to note, if you do want to jump on the show live, feel free to click on the link. There's a comment below.
I can't hear you. Hey, Jay, I'm having some trouble hearing you.
Got it.
Wait,
sure.
Did you change something? It just got better.
Yeah, I mean, I just moved my mic up a little bit, but it's probably internet.
Yeah,
but that's fine.
It was kind of sketching out, but I think I can hear you now.
Got it. Okay, cool. So let's talk online.
Can't hear you. I can hear you through the wall, but I can't hear you through the computer.
That's weird. Anyone comment below if you are listening to this, if you're having a hard time.
No, it's out. Okay. All right, I think Jay's going to be back in a second. Hopefully people can hear me. Okay, so let's talk about some 101 type campaigns, and Jason will be back just in 1 second. First things first. Okay, I think people are able to hear us now. All right, first things first, just get your basic website and social media game right. You're not going to have a ton of traffic. You're not going to have a ton of followers, but you just have to be there. First things first, you have to be present. Jay, you there?
Yep. Can you hear me now?
Yep, we can hear you now.
Is that better?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
I was jumping into the basic 101 is just get yourself visible, get your presence up, get your website together. There's a lot of really, really easy and good tools nowadays. You don't have to have a complicated or expensive website. Lots of good tools out there like ClickFunnels, WordPress, of course, just to get visible. You're not going to have a lot of traffic starting out, and that is totally okay. That will come with time. Social media presence too. Like a lot of times people nowadays, when they go to Google somebody, they're going to go look at their social media and make sure that they have it. It's a little weird if you're a company, but you don't have a Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, right? So just be present. First things first.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. And I look at these online presence websites and social media two different ways. Both of them are still the basics, but if you want to go below the basics, how the heck can you ever go and on a listing appointment as a real estate agent, or how the heck can you go into a seller's house and, give them confidence that you're going to help them if you don't even have an online presence? They can't even do credit, just for credibility purposes. Or someone wants to contact you. How the heck are they even going to contact you unless you have a website, unless you have a social media profile, at the very, very least with your name, your email, and your phone number. That's the very least. Then maybe put a picture up there. Maybe put some a business name up there. Like, that is the basics. You have to have all of that stuff. You have to. Like, this isn't negotiable. This has to happen. You have to have all of these things first, just because, it's just like think about this. Think about like you're starting a store and then you paint your entire store black. You close the door and lock it, and you just hide in there with your products, and no one can find you, and no one can even get a hold of you, even if they want to buy from you. You need to have at least a very, very basic online presence, social and website. A lot of people are terrified to do some of these things because they're like, well, what's the point of putting up a website if I don't have any content? What's the point of putting up a social media page a Facebook page if I don't have any content to put in there? You will create content. I promise you. We're going to share some ways to create content in the next few minutes. But make sure you at least have your name and phone number so people can contact you.
Yeah, I would also throw in one additional thing. If you got around to making your website years ago, it's 2006, 2007, whatever, that's not really going to be good for your credibility today. So you are going to need to update that, make it somewhat recent, because a website from those times, they look old, they look outdated, and it's not going to, it could even be, it's probably not as bad as having zero website, but it's close. It's going to hurt your credibility when people go to check you out.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, cool. So hopefully we hit home with that. I mean, it kind of sounds basic to us, but at the same time, it's not. A lot of people get into real estate, they get into business, and they don't consider themselves tech guys or marketers. But stop what you're doing if you don't have these things and just freaking do it, because it's so darn important. And, if you need help with this, if you need some recommendations, ask your questions below, comment on this Facebook post, and we're happy to give you resources of not only some of the tools and the software and things that we do to help build us, but also maybe, ways to find virtual assistants or staff or consultants to help you with some of this stuff, because it's so darn important. And if you don't have a budget for it, you don't have time for it, that's not an excuse to me. Get out of the business if you're not willing to do some of these things. Cool. So I would say that the next thing that's really, really important, and arguably like one slight notch above this, is kind of an email database. Everyone wants to go and find clients and customers, no matter what business that they're in, and the first place they go is typically not their home base. They go outside of their sphere instead of sticking to their sphere. Everyone has an email database already. They just don't have it in a physical software place. They have business cards. I mean, listen, got all these business cards here and stuff like that. I mean, I could actually probably throw these away because they're already in our email database. But most people have these. They have an Excel spreadsheet. They have them in your contacts. You need to put them on it. Yeah.
1,000 contacts in Gmail, easy.
Yeah, you need, and if you want, comment below of how to export out of Gmail, and I'll tell you exactly how to do it, because you can export all of your contacts out of Gmail. So it's super, super, super easy. I don't know. Yeah. It's kind of dumb, but it's so basic.
Yeah, and I would also throw in there, let's talk about the ROI conversation.
Yep.
It always comes into play with when you're talking about online marketing or any marketing. So ROI is return on investment. For the dollars you're spending or for the work you're doing, how much money are you getting in return? Very, very important topic. And it's tricky when it comes to, putting up a website that is going to get very little traffic. It's tricky when it comes to having social media profiles. Sorry about that. Computer freaked out. It's tricky when it comes to social media profiles because you're not going to have that many followers, and people will always say, and as they should, what's the ROI of this online marketing stuff that I'm doing? Okay. And it's hard to get that. And sometimes it builds with time and what have you. Email marketing is the opposite. It is such a high ROI. The time and cost is next to nothing to send people an email broadcast. It could be 50 people, 500 people, whatever. You're going to get responses right away. That's the immediate ROI that you're looking for in the internet marketing game. The other stuff takes more time, but you get immediate gratification from sending out an email broadcast, and doing it consistently is huge.
So, and I know the answer to this as well, but I'm just going to ask you this question, Chris. But what happens when someone tells you, well, that's all fine and dandy, but like, I don't know what to send my people, so I'm not going to send them anything because I don't know what to send them. Like, what do you recommend there?
Yeah, I mean, there's a number of different ways to handle that. I think that people should make themselves a list of 10 possible things they could discuss depending on what niche you're in. It could be market conditions. It could be, hey, here's a video of me talking about X. It could be, here's a great deal that we just closed. And keep yourself a list, a very easy list in Google Docs or on your wall, wherever is accessible for you. And when you have those thoughts, I want to send an email broadcast this week, but I don't know what to talk about, simply refer to your list and pick one, write out something simple, and send it out. I mean, the consistency of it and the execution of it is much, much more important than coming up with the perfect content piece, because there's, we're not professional writers. We're not like, Hollywood film studios, and it's never going to be a masterpiece, and it doesn't have to be. It just needs to be consistent.
It needs to be consistent. It needs to be value to your clients. You can either be a showcase deal. It can be like, hey, I just bought this house from a homeowner in 2 days. I sold this house above asking price. I mean, there's so many darn things. Chris and I were recently with a lender that we're friendly with in Virginia, and we can both jump in with a few things because there's so many lessons to be learned about this. But one of his things was like, you know what? I sent my first email blast out to my whole list, and I got a deal out of it, or maybe even said 2 deals. I don't remember, 2 deals. And we said, well, why haven't you done the damn thing again?
Why'd
and
you stop?
He was like, yeah, I don't know. I didn't know what to send. So we said, so going back to like what to send, it was like, cool. Like Chris said, create a list, come up with 10 things. I was like, you could do this, and this. So technically I'm giving you enough ideas that you can send out this on Monday, this on Tuesday, this on Wednesday, this on Thursday, this on Friday, blah, blah, blah. But let's just keep it simple. Do it every Friday at this time, and that's it. Just do it. It doesn't have to be that much. And that email database, I mean, think about any business database. Think about a gigantic company. Their business database is all the value, right? I mean, you think that a company, when they pay airtime to sell you products online, a really cool widget or a really cool Snuggie or something, and they're only charging you $9.99 for that product, plus they're giving you a second and a third one for free. They're not making money on that. They're acquiring you as a client, right? And then they're going back after you to try over and over and over and over and over. It's the same thing. We know exactly how much it costs us to get an email address, things like that. So I have an email address, and I email them over and over and over. If you are a real estate agent, if you're a real estate investor, and you go and you're on a listing appointment, potentially go to negotiate to buy somebody's home, the majority of the time they are not ready to sign at that time. If they are, great, but the majority of the time they're not. So you stay in front of them all the time until they're ready. We do loans for people that reached out to us 4 years ago, 5 years ago. It wasn't their time, right? It wasn't their time. They weren't ready. They didn't have a property in mind. Whatever the case is, we stay in front of them regularly, doing nothing through an email database. It's not like I'm proactively like calling them every day on the phone. And
No.
They know where to reach out to us because the autoresponders, email broadcasts, everything done through the email database is doing it for us.
Yeah, totally. And I would tell people, whatever it is you're doing in real estate, you're an investor, you're an agent, you're a lender, treat your weekly email broadcast, or however often you decide to do it, if it's a couple times a month, whatever it is, treat it as importantly as it should be treated. It's not to say, hey, I got all this stuff to do this week, and maybe, I'd like to get in an email broadcast. Like, it is a top level business owner activity to be taken seriously. I do our emails here at HMB, and I'll do 1 or 2 a week, usually 2, sometimes 1, and that's okay, but never 0. I've never goose egged a week, even with travel, what have you, in, 7, 8 years. Like, I've never missed a week ever, because I treat it as an important part of my week. right? It doesn't have to be a masterpiece, but it has to happen.
Yeah, and we know that the phone rings every time we send out an email. That's just how it is. And it is so much cheaper to stay in front of your people and to take care of an existing customer lead client than try to go out there and acquire a new one and pay to acquire a new one in a lot of those cases. So, they talk about if you're a real estate agent or a realtor, real estate broker working by referral and things like that, you have a great sphere, you have a great database already, instead of, and don't get me wrong, like I think going to open houses, happy hours, networking events, all that stuff, mingling, that is so important. But at the same time, let the email database be on autopilot. Let it run in the background. And if you're listening in, you say, well, how do I put it on autopilot? Comment below, ask for some of the tools that we use. We may forget about some of these things as we're talking. So if you comment below and ask us what tools we're using, what software we're using, happy to share that. As you can tell, we're pretty darn transparent related to our business and some of our, clients and friends and colleagues' businesses. We know a lot of people that are in real estate investing, and, we all collaborate. We do masterminds and things like that. So happy to share all of those things. And, some of the things that we do with our email database and some of our clients do with an email database, so simple, right? It's simple. And, we're talking like minutes of time a month, not tons and tons of hours.
Yeah, think about that leverage too. That's something else that really does it for me when it comes to email marketing is like, okay, say you could go to a networking event and talk to 15 people, which, requires some effort. You have 15 conversations. You have to drive there. You have to be there. You have to take a couple hours. Like, that's work to talk to those 15 people. And imagine, even if you don't have a huge database, you have 250 people, say, and you can touch them in, 10, 15 minutes of writing and click, and like, you can, in a matter of just minutes compared to the hours it would take to talk to 15, you can blast these people and touch a lot of them and get responses and get real business moving. The leverage is huge on email marketing. Absolutely huge.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Well, if you're just tuning in, first, welcome. Thank you. Every Tuesday at 11 a.m., we do the HMB Live broadcast exclusively on Facebook Live. Any comments that you have or any questions that you have, we'd certainly appreciate it. We talk anything related to real estate, business, marketing, and finance. Those are things that we do every day, and they overlap. It doesn't matter what business you're in, they overlap, right? You need to spend time on marketing. You need to understand personal finance and finance in your business. General business principles are so darn important. It doesn't matter what business you're in. If you're the business owner, if you're the entrepreneur, these are important things. So we have a good community of like entrepreneurs and like business owners like you. So make sure to tune in. Any comments that you have, please feel free to just comment on this Facebook post, and we can ask those questions. We can answer those questions for you. And if you have, the tolerance to be on the show and actually show your face next to ours, or I'm not sure if it's next to ours or between ours, feel free to click on this link that I just posted on the screen. It's in the comment box in the post, and ask your question live. Be a show guest or be a future show guest. Cool. So 11 a.m. every Tuesday. Today's topic that we've been talking about is online presence, online marketing campaigns for real estate. Doesn't matter if you're a realtor, a real estate investor, lender, appraiser, doesn't matter. Title company, or any general business owner for that matter. All these principles take effect. So we talked about, obviously website and social media. We talked about the email database. We've got a few other kind of key topics that I think are important. Should we jump into some paid ads and just, again, like all of this stuff is 101, right? And you don't really need to get much past that. 90% of the real estate investors and real estate friends that we have and clients we have don't even have any of these things. They're not using their websites. They're not using their social media profiles. They're not using freaking anything, and it's kind of annoying. And that's why we wanted to have about this topic. Right. But let's talk about paid ads. Let's say if you don't have a website, if you don't have an email database, if you don't have a social media profile, you have to do that stuff first. But when you get to the next step and you really want to step up your game a little bit and you want to spend some money, we can jump in on paid ads.
Yeah, I would say that the things that we covered first, having a website, having social media profiles, and in marketing by email to your database, those are mandatory. Paid ads, I would say, in many, many businesses are optional, but they can be good. and there are more expensive ways and less expensive ways to go about it. Google and Facebook, I would say, are probably your two biggest channels when it comes to paid ads. You can do search ads on Google, so people, they type something in and you could pop up. You can do display or remarketing. Remarketing is actually a really, really good value right now in the world of paid ads online. So when people come to your website, they pick up a pixel and then they go other places around the web and they're going to see your ad because of the fact that they have visited your site, which of course makes them a pretty hot prospect. They've already checked out your website and now you're going to show them ads to try and convert them into a customer of some kind. So remarketing is really, really good now. Facebook too, if you want to jump in on that one.
Yeah. So the cool thing about Facebook is Facebook's in front of people on a regular basis. I mean, it's one of those things that, like, your website, although, you can argue, and we try to do this, we try to chase all of our clients around on websites, no matter what website they go to. We try to, have paid ads to jump in front of them. But so many people are on social, and Facebook, in the real estate space, Facebook's the most important, and like LinkedIn's number 2, probably Instagram number 3. I mean, obviously you want to be on social platforms that people are at, Twitter after that. But with Facebook, you can really easily get in front of people, and you can get in front of their threads, and their feeds, threads, feeds, whatever. You can get in front of them, and you can either pay to show them an ad, or you can promote a post, video post, whatever post you have. So it's important to do. What we found to be one of the most effective, what Chris was talking about, was remarketing. Is we already have, you can upload your email database, or potentially you can even upload a tracking link. Even if you're not techie, it's super simple. We can share some of the ways to do this if you comment on some of this feed. And then when people go onto your Facebook feed, even if they're not friends with you or don't like you, and they're on your feed, they can still see your content on a regular basis. So it's a great way to stay in front of people all the time. And, listen, Facebook right now, is just scrolling through it, right? It's so easy. Everybody is. Obviously, sure. Video gets better. Obviously in this order, it goes text, images, video, live video. Those are typically the 4 types of posts that are out there in that order of importance. These video Facebook live feeds get a lot of show. They get stickies on your thread and things like that. So again, it's going about just taking action and doing some of these things.
Yeah, when it comes to spending a little bit of money on Facebook, it can go a long way. And here's why. Like, when you have a business page, Facebook, I believe, is only going to put it in the feeds of 10 to 20% of the people who like you. So the vast majority of people who like your page, and for many people it's not a whole lot, they're not going to see your posts unless you throw a few bucks behind it. And then it's going to show to 80, 90%. It's going to show to all your fans. So if you have something going on, or if you want to do some kind of ad and ask for business, whatever it may be that you have going on that it's worth throwing a few bucks behind, Facebook's a good place to do that. If you're only going to spend a few bucks, I'd probably say do it on Facebook.
And Facebook's so much cheaper than the other ad platforms like Google AdWords or Bing, Microsoft Ad Center, things like that, or even buying. Because listen, if you want to be on the Washington Post, you can buy banner space on the Washington Post, right? Like you have the ability to pretty much be on all of those channels, but it'll cost you. And you need to, we'll get to this in another show, but you need to determine how much a cost per acquisition, CPA, a lead is worth to you. And in Facebook, you can really throw a lot out there for pretty darn inexpensive, for pennies, for clicks, or dollars for multiple tons and tons of impressions on it. So, that's kind of, we could do a more advanced paid ad topic. If that interests people, feel free to comment below on this Facebook feed, and happy to talk about that, because we are promoting stuff and spending thousands of dollars on Facebook every month. So we're pretty familiar with it. And the interesting thing is Facebook changes every single day. I log into our ad platform every day, and things are changing. But just kind of wanted to mention the Facebook ad things. I would say 101, just because that's what we've been talking about on a lot of these things. Let's say you're a wholesaler and you have a property that you have under contract, or a property that you're looking to wholesale. Take a snippet of it, put a price on it, call to action of, hey, all contracts in by this date. This is the price. Reach out to me. Throw $100 at it. Promote it. You can set the target. It can either be your audience, or you can say anyone who's interested in real estate in this particular area. Just mess around with it. But it's super, super easy. And the cool part about Facebook is they know so much darn info about all of us that you can target everybody so clearly.
Yep, for sure.
All right, cool. So we're gonna talk about one additional thing that kind of turns into two in a second. If you're just chiming in, we do this HMB Live broadcast on Facebook Live at 11 a.m. every Tuesday. Sometimes we bring in industry guests. Sometimes Chris and I do it ourselves. And the cool part about this format is it's open to anybody to ask any questions. This kind of seems like it's a good time where people are available, even if they're at work, they're able to chime in, ask some questions. So if you have any questions, comment below. If you have an interest in being on the show, you can go right here and click on the link. It's a new link for every week for a new show guest. But we do chat every Tuesday at 11 a.m. And any questions that you have related to real estate, finance, business, or marketing, this is a great place and a great community to ask questions for. So one thing that a lot of, I don't know as much as real estate investors, but a lot of real estate agents, I want to talk about directories a little bit and stuff related to that. Let's say you have a neighborhood directory, or let's say, I'm trying to think of some other examples of directories. Now we use there's a few online sites for real estate investors, wholesalers, hard money lenders like ourselves that we put our links on. And we get a lot of good feedback from it because people come here and be like, hey, I need to know the best lender in this state, or I need to know the best real estate agent in this city or this county or something like that. So if you can think outside the box and find local directories in your community, those work really great. Now, keep in mind, most let's use the word consumers. I'd like to say homeowners, but it's not just homeowners in this case. They like working with people that are local, that they feel are experts in the area, that they know, people that are going to the same restaurants, same coffee shops that they're going to. So if you can find directories, and they're all over the place. I mean, we have a directory and the soccer association that we're parts of, where it's like, here's all the real estate agents, or there's a golf club we're associated with. These are all the mortgage lenders that are part of this. So there's good business to be had from that. I'm not saying it's very, very scalable like some of these other things we've been talking about, but it is a way to get your name out.
Yeah, and you're typically talking about free stuff. There are paid directories, but a lot of the things we're talking about just being listed in your local community doesn't cost you anything at all. And we have that as kind of after all the mandatory stuff and moving on down the list, like not 100% mandatory, but it's a good idea. It's a smart thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing, just to kind of sum all this up before we hop offline, at the very least, you need to show people that I hope I spelled credibility right. I'm not great on that side, but this kind of goes back from how we started this show about having an online presence and making sure people can get a hold of you. But we hear story after story after story. Real estate investors will come in here and be like, yeah, I was at the house with the homeowner, and they're like, cool, well, let me do some due diligence on you because, everyone's smart these days. People that are trying to sell their house, maybe someone wants to buy a house from you, like they're smart. They want to make sure, you have a good reputation. So you got to put your credibility points up there. And credibility point doesn't necessarily, mean that you have to be like featured on the Wall Street Journal or like the top real estate agent for RE/MAX. Like that's great, right? But you need to put something that you believe is valuable for somebody. And it could be as simple as, I sold a house in 7 days above list price, right? That's fine. The credibility part doesn't even have to be from even a creditable source. It could be a story from you. I mean, let's think about what like the term press release. Have you ever written a press release before? If you have a press release, typically you're the one writing the press release, or you have somebody on your behalf writing the press release. And then you put it onto a site, a news site, or I don't know, some other really creditable site as, hey, guess what? We just did this. It's great. Everyone's like, holy crap, you guys are on Yahoo. And I mean, I'm not trying to like call myself out on this. It's just reality. Like, I like being on Yahoo, but at the same time, like, we wrote that press release of what news we felt was valuable. You can do the same thing. It's, hey, I just sold a house above list price, or I just sold this house, and you could put it on a press release site and put it into Yahoo, and all of a sudden you could put that on your website, featured in Yahoo. So just things like that go a long way, that have a free online presence. So, cool. So hopefully everyone enjoyed this episode of H&B Live. We do this every day, every Tuesday, whatever. I'd like to do these every day because they're actually a lot of fun to do. They are. And especially when we get a lot of good comments. People are a little low.
Yeah, if anybody wants to comment below and tell us a success story of yours with online marketing and just what happened, like what area of real estate you're in, where you were marketing, what the awesome result was, we'd love to hear about it. Love to chat about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we try to take the comments from previous shows and put them towards the next show. It makes it helpful. Thank you, Mr. Glenn. Great stuff as always. We're trying to do our thing, and we all learn together as a team as we do these. And again, anything you have related to marketing, real estate, business, finance, topics that we talk about on a regular basis. The way I like to say it with online is companies need to hang their digital shingle. Glenn just posted one other thing.
Yeah. Yep. Just get yourself visible to the world. Step one. Other stuff can come later. Yeah.
And step one, you don't have to get that far. That's the thing. Like, we're not going to talk about being the best at the basics because that's another topic that we've talked about in the past. But, all of these things are pretty darn basic. Just be good at them and just do them consistently.
Consistency is so key.
It's such a big thing. So, all right, we'll make sure next Tuesday, 11 a.m., make sure to tune in. We will be here on Facebook Live with HMB Live next Tuesday, 11 a.m. I'll do a better job to make sure I get these live broadcast teasers out ahead of time and not 2 hours before the show starts, just so it gives you time to comment and think of anything that you have. Any upcoming topics that you would love to know about, or if you'd love to chat about, ask any questions about, feel free to comment below. That is why we're here. And thanks, everyone, for following us and watching this live broadcast with HMB Live. And until next time.
See you next time.
We certainly appreciate it. Take care, guys.